Welcome to the Neo Trend, bringing you the latest news from around the world. In the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, where the horizon seems endless and the sky meets the sea, a silent tension brews beneath the surface. The South China Sea, a region often in the headlines, commands global attention like few other places on Earth. It's far more than just a shipping route. 1/3 of the world's maritime trade, worth trillions of dollars in goods, passes through these crucial waters every single year. Any disruption here, whether from conflict or natural disaster, sends immediate shockwaves through global supply chains and economies, affecting everything from electronics to food prices. The sea's strategic location forms a vital link between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, making it a critical choke point for both international commerce and military movement. For energy-dependent nations like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, these shipping lanes are nothing less than a lifeline, ensuring the steady flow of oil, gas, and essential goods. The United States, too, insists on freedom of navigation, regularly sending its navy through these waters to guarantee that global trade and military access remain unimpeded. Beneath the waves, vast oil and gas reserves, billions of barrels and trillions of cubic feet, lie untapped, fueling fierce competition and raising the stakes for every nation with a claim. China's sweeping territorial claims overlap and clash with those of the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei, creating a tangled web of disputes and diplomatic standoffs. As military buildups intensify and patrols become more frequent, the risk of miscalculation or accidental conflict grows ever more real. Around the world, governments, businesses, and ordinary people watch anxiously, uncertain if this vital waterway will remain a zone of peaceful commerce or erupt into a flashpoint for conflict. The stakes have never been higher, and the clock is ticking for all those who depend on the South China Sea. On July 15, 2025, the United States and the Philippines unveiled a landmark energy deal, marking a new era of cooperation between the two longtime allies. This agreement is the result of months of high-level negotiations and reflects a shared vision for regional stability and prosperity. The centerpiece of the deal is a plan to jointly explore and develop energy resources in the West Philippine Sea, a region known for its vast untapped reserves. American companies are set to bring significant investment, advanced technology, and technical expertise, aiming to unlock offshore oil and gas reserves that could help power the energy-hungry Philippines for decades to come. The initial focus is on areas like Reed Bank, which is believed to be rich in natural gas, and lies well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. However, these waters are also claimed by China, making the project highly sensitive. This partnership is about more than just energy development. It's a powerful statement of sovereignty, economic independence, and a deepening strategic alliance between Manila and Washington. U.S. involvement signals strong support for Manila's legal rights under international law, directly challenging China's sweeping maritime claims and reinforcing the rules-based order in the region. For Washington, this move is part of a broader strategy to reinforce alliances, protect vital sea lanes, and uphold a free and open Indo-Pacific, ensuring stability for all nations in the region. In the Philippines, the deal is being hailed as a game-changer, offering hope for greater energy security, economic growth, and a renewed sense of national pride among Filipinos. Beijing, however, has condemned the agreement, viewing it as a direct challenge to its sovereignty, and warning that it could further escalate tensions in the already volatile South China Sea. What began as an economic initiative has now become a focal point in a complex geopolitical storm, drawing in regional and global powers. The stakes for all sides have only grown as energy, sovereignty, and great power rivalry converge in these contested waters. The South China Sea dispute is rooted in history and law. China's Nine-Dash Line, first drawn in 1947, claims nearly 90% of the sea, citing ancient rights. But neighboring countries, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan, base their claims on modern international law, especially UNCLOS, which grants 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zones. In 2013, the Philippines challenged China at The Hague. The 2016 tribunal ruling invalidated China's Nine-Dash Line, siding with the Philippines. China rejected the verdict, continuing to build artificial islands and fortify them with military assets. These actions defy international law and heighten regional tensions. The legal victory for the Philippines remains unenforced as power politics dominate the sea. The dispute is now a daily contest between legal principles and military might. The world's rules are on trial in these contested waters. The South China Sea is an economic powerhouse. Over $3.4 trillion in trade, one-third of global shipping, passes through each year. For China, Japan and South Korea, these lanes are critical for energy imports. Any conflict here could cripple global supply chains and trigger recession. The sea also provides 12% of the world's fish catch, vital for food security and livelihoods. Overfishing and territorial clashes threaten these resources, fueling diplomatic incidents. Beneath the seabed lie immense oil and gas reserves, a prize for developing economies like the Philippines and Vietnam. The scramble for these riches drives the disputes. Rising military patrols and uncertainty are already raising shipping costs and deterring investment. The new US-Philippines energy deal promises growth but also heightens geopolitical risk. Economic opportunity and danger are tightly intertwined in these waters. The US-Philippines energy deal has sharply escalated tensions. China has increased its presence near Reed Bank, with more Coast Guard and militia vessels shadowing Philippine boats and using water cannons to block access. On July 28, 2025, a Philippine resupply mission was dangerously blocked by Chinese ships, an incident caught on video. This gray zone warfare aims to assert control without open conflict, wearing down Philippine resolve. In the first half of 2025, over 150 harassment incidents were recorded, a 40% jump from the previous year. The US has condemned China's actions and increased its own naval patrols, challenging Beijing's claims. China insists it's defending its sovereignty and sees the energy deal as a pretext for more US military presence. Each side views the other's moves as provocation, fueling a cycle of escalation. The risk of a direct confrontation grows with every encounter. The US-Philippines alliance is anchored by the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, a historic agreement that has shaped the security landscape of Southeast Asia for over 70 years. This treaty established a formal commitment for both nations to support each other in the event of external armed attack, laying the foundation for decades of close military partnership and strategic cooperation. In recent years, Washington has made it clear, any armed attack on Philippine forces, public vessels, or aircraft in the South China Sea will trigger US defense commitments under the treaty. This explicit assurance is meant to deter aggression and reassure Manila of unwavering American support amid rising regional tensions. Military cooperation has surged to unprecedented levels. Joint exercises like Balikatan now involve over 18,000 troops, featuring complex live-fire drills, amphibious landings, and joint air patrols over contested waters. These operations not only enhance interoperability, but also send a powerful signal of unity and preparedness to potential adversaries. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, gives U.S. forces rotational access to key Philippine bases, enabling rapid response to crises, humanitarian disasters, or security threats. This expanded access strengthens the alliance's ability to project power and respond flexibly to evolving challenges in the region. China has repeatedly protested these moves, viewing them as part of a broader U.S. strategy to contain its rise and challenge its territorial claims in the South China Sea. In response, Beijing has ramped up its own military drills, simulating attacks and conducting high-profile exercises to send a message of defiance and demonstrate its growing military capabilities. The new energy deal between the U.S. and the Philippines intertwines economic and security interests more than ever before. Any interference with US-backed energy projects in disputed waters could provoke a strong and immediate response, raising the stakes for all parties involved. The line between economic and military confrontation is blurring, as disputes over resources and territory increasingly overlap with questions of national security and military posturing. The alliance is now tested not just by treaties and official statements, but by daily risks and confrontations at sea, where every encounter carries the potential for escalation. The stakes for both nations have never been clearer, as their partnership is put to the test in real time, under the watchful eyes of the world. The region is on edge, with every maneuver, deployment, and diplomatic statement watched closely by allies, rivals, and the global community alike. The next move could change everything, shaping the future of the US-Philippines alliance and the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific for years to come. The world is watching the South China Sea with growing alarm. G7 nations and the EU have called for freedom of navigation and respect for international law, backing the 2016 tribunal ruling. ASEAN seeks a binding code of conduct with China, but progress is slow and divisions run deep. Australia and Japan have stepped up patrols and defense ties with the Philippines, seeing the dispute as a threat to their own security. Joint military exercises signal a united front among U.S. allies. The UN urges restraint, but its influence is limited by great power divisions. Many nations worry that a misstep could trigger a wider conflict. The South China Sea's stability is now a global concern, not just a regional one. The fate of a vital global commons hangs in the balance. The world's eyes remain fixed on these contested waters. The South China Sea conflict is as much about law and diplomacy as it is about ships and soldiers. The Philippines uses assertive transparency, publicizing every Chinese incursion to rally international support. China counters with its own diplomatic campaign, dismissing the 2016 ruling and accusing Manila of acting at Washington's behest. Beijing leverages economic influence to sway smaller nations and shape the global narrative. The 2016 arbitral award remains the legal bedrock for the Philippines and its allies, cited in every international forum. The new energy deal is a practical assertion of these legal rights. China's strategy: ignore the ruling, enforce its claims on the water, and wait for the world to accept a new status quo. The struggle is a war of narratives and endurance, law versus force. The outcome will shape the region's future. The South China Sea stands at a crossroads. The US-Philippines energy deal has raised the stakes, clarifying the divide between international law and China's historic claims. The result: a crowded, contested sea where navies and coast guards operate in dangerous proximity. The best hope is de-escalation and renewed diplomacy, perhaps through a binding ASEAN code of conduct. But deep mistrust and nationalism make a breakthrough unlikely. If the cycle of provocation continues, a single miscalculation could spark a wider conflict. The consequences would be catastrophic: shattered peace, crippled trade, and possible US-China confrontation. The world faces a profound question: will law and diplomacy prevail, or will force reshape the global order? The decisions made in Manila, Beijing, and Washington will determine the fate of this vital waterway. The next chapter is unwritten, and the world is watching.